Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. Echo of Life. Let's start. Sometimes it hits in the dead of night, or in bumper-to-bumper traffic, or in the middle of a crowded room where you're surrounded by people who've never really seen you. That's when something inside breaks, quietly, without fanfare. You look around and it all feels like a stage. The smiles, the striving, the performance of being okay. Questions rise in your throat that you don't voice. What's the point of any of this? Why does life feel like a game where the rules were written by people who don't care if you lose? Why does the more you try, the more everything seems to push back? You scroll and see another post telling you to stay positive, to manifest your dreams, to trust the process. But what if the process has left you behind? What if the only thing growing inside you isn't ambition? It's exhaustion. Not just tiredness, but a deep soul-level weariness. You want to scream, or disappear, or just stop. Not because you're lazy, not because you're weak, but because you're tired of carrying weights no one else can see. Tired of performing strength when you feel hollow. Tired of being told to keep going while you're quietly coming apart. You're not broken for feeling this way. You're not losing your mind. You're waking up. You're waking up to the reality of a world that often rewards numbness. A system that teaches you how to succeed, but not how to be human. And when your spirit realizes it can't thrive here, it begins to withdraw. That withdrawal isn't failure. It's often the quiet moment before something new begins. But most people don't get to that point without first thinking, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. That thought isn't always a cry of despair.
What is this?
Sometimes it's the first honest thing you've admitted in years.
In my own life.
A refusal. A boundary. The mask cracking because you can't keep pretending you're okay when you're not. And maybe that pretending is what's been draining you all along. So what if quitting doesn't mean giving up on life, but giving up on this version of life? The one where you betray yourself daily just to get by. The one where you become who everyone expects and lose who you really are. What if quitting is sacred? Quitting the noise. Quitting the race you never signed up for. Quitting the identity you were handed before you could choose. Quitting the need to be liked, accepted, polished, perfect. What if this feeling of falling apart isn't a breakdown, but your spirit rejecting an illusion? Look closer. Beneath the anger, beneath the weariness, there's grief. Grief for the years you spent living by someone else's rules. Grief for the parts of yourself you tucked away to fit in. Grief for the joy you put on hold, the truth you swallowed, the creativity you never expressed, the pain you never voiced. You didn't fail. You adapted. And now you're waking up. Waking up in a world that feels broken can hurt. But don't mistake your awakening for failure. Don't confuse your frustration with a flaw. Don't let this raw, aching feeling in your chest convince you that you're weak. Because this moment can be sacred. It's where everything that isn't real begins to fall away. The ego, the masks, the stories. What's left is truth. And truth can burn. But it also heals. Maybe you were never meant to thrive inside this version of the world. Maybe you were meant to see through it. To stand in the fire of your own unraveling and emerge more real. There is a quiet power in letting yourself break down. There is honesty in collapse. There is beauty in choosing yourself when the world doesn't make it easy. So don't rush to numb it. Don't run from what you feel. Sit with it. Listen. Ask it. What are you trying to show me that I've been too afraid to see? Maybe it's the part of you that simply needs to rest, not out of laziness, but because you've been fighting invisible battles. Maybe it's the part that's angry, not because you're bitter, but because your boundaries have been crossed for too long. Maybe it's the inner child saying, stop pretending. This hurts. If you feel like quitting, don't ignore it. Listen, because that desire is often your spirit asking for radical change. Not an end, but a rebirth. And hardly anyone talks about this part. Everyone wants to show you their transformation, but no one shows you the night before. The shaking, the unraveling, the quiet moment on the floor when you whisper, I can't keep doing this. That whisper isn't weakness. It's honesty. And it might be the beginning of your return. Maybe you're not here to impress this world. Maybe you're here to see through it, to refuse what's shallow, to let go of what was never real in the first place. Maybe you're here to feel what others are too afraid to feel. To love honestly, to break open, to heal deeply. You were taught that strength means enduring everything. But real strength can look like truth, like softness, like choosing not to numb yourself just to be easier for others to digest. And maybe you've been digesting pain for so long, you've forgotten what it means to be free. This world often rewards performance, but your spirit is tired of performing. Maybe that's why you want to quit, because the self you built to obey, to endure, to smile through it was never the real you. It was armor. And sometimes the only way to become who you really are is to let that armor fall away. So if it feels like you're coming apart, let it. Break the rules you were never meant to follow. Walk away from the table you were never meant to sit at. You don't owe anyone the performance of being okay. You were made for something real, and realness comes at a cost. Costs comfort, costs illusion, costs the fake relationships, the hollow goals, the strained smiles. But in return, it gives you something sacred, yourself. Not the edited version, not the masked one, the version that's raw, alive, awake. The one that remembers how to feel, how to rest, how to say no, how to be still without needing a filter or an audience. The problem was never you. It was the story you were told, that your worth depends on being useful, that your value depends on what you produce, that your emotions are a burden, that your softness is weakness, that your pain makes you broken. That isn't true. Your pain is proof you're still human, proof you still care, proof that somewhere inside, there's a light that refuses to go out, even if all it can do right now is flicker. So don't quit life. Quit the version of life that's been draining you. Quit the hustle that left you hollow. Quit the filters that made you forget your own face. Quit the silence that kept your truth locked away. Quit trying to be lovable by being less. Quit everything that asks you to betray your own spirit. And once you do, what comes next won't be easy, but it will be yours. You'll rebuild. Not overnight, not with a blueprint, but moment by moment, choice by choice. You'll learn to rest without guilt, to say I don't know without shame, to sit with your sadness without rushing to fix it. You'll find joy in quiet places that don't need to be posted. You'll cry without apologizing. You'll say no and mean it. You'll look in the mirror and, for the first time in years, you won't see someone broken. You'll see someone becoming. This journey isn't a straight line upward. It's a descent into your own shadows. And from there, a return. You are the paradox, hurting and healing, collapsing and awakening, letting go and becoming. The moment you said, I can't do this anymore, was the moment you stopped doing what was never meant for you. And that's where life can truly begin. This isn't about being fixed. It's about being free. Free to feel. Free to change. Free to let go of the roles, the expectations, the noise. Free to build something real from what remains. So don't quit on your transformation. Let the old version fall away. Let the mask dissolve. Let the world misunderstand you if it must. Let them call you broken. Because only those who've allowed themselves to break apart truly learn how to put themselves back together, without pretending anymore. You're not weak. You're awake. And the world will try to make you forget. But every time you remember, every time you choose your truth over someone else's approval, every time you sit in the quiet and still choose to stay, you reclaim a piece of your soul. This moment, this feeling, this isn't the end. It's an unfiltered, unpolished, honest beginning. And from here, you don't need to be anything but real. Thank you everyone watching my video. Please subscribe my channel for more update.